morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Well, my guest this morning, the first one of them is Kennedy Osunwa. He's a legal practitioner. He's also a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Kennedy.
Good morning, son. Good morning, Nigerians.
Indeed. Our pleasure to have you. As we've been doing for a while, we've been looking at all these efforts of at anti-corruption, and it's not all about money. For instance, I suppose there's a way you could put it under the whole general headline, the probe into the military, procurement of military equipment going back to 2007. Only yesterday, the president approved an investigating panel set up by the new NSA to look into procurements. There are all sorts of issues going on there. Then the president, as you know, has intervened, and a very large number of soldiers have been sort of reinstated following their being disciplined and dismissed in various tribunals. Apparently, looking into whether or not there was any unfairness, the president has intervened, and the process is now on to recall, you know, about 200 servicemen, a little over 200 servicemen or so. So there are all sorts of aspects to it. And yesterday we had the interesting, if not controversial one, about the president having been speaking to an MBA conference on Sunday, where he had pleaded with lawyers to not scuttle, quote unquote, scuttle anti-corruption, you know, the anti-corruption drive by, you know, compromising the integrity of the legal profession, no matter how lucrative the brief is. Well, I have a lawyer. First of all, I just get straight up your perspective on that plea. When you evaluate that plea, that lawyers are obliged, I imagine, to uphold the integrity of their profession. And so when you look at the president's plea along the lines of, look, go ahead and do your job, but guys, don't do anything to, you know, compromise the integrity of the legal profession, no matter how lucrative the brief, in this drive to battle, you know, all this corruption. What do you think?
Yes, I think professionally, looking at the president's plea on lawyers to reject any of the corruption cases.
No. I never heard him say that, but I did hear him say, try not to compromise the integrity of the legal profession in these cases.
Well, it's a plea.
Yeah.
It's a plea.
Yeah.
But professionally, I have to look at it the way it is. Because as a lawyer, we are trained, you know, to defend, among other things, you know, people that are suspected or allegedly to have committed an offense, or people that their fundamental or legal rights are being brutalized. Then looking at the provisions of the Constitution. First of all, the Constitution, the position of the Constitution is that an accused person is deemed innocent till the contrary is proved. So a lawyer coming into a case is not the judge, but is an adjudicator in that matter. So there are two sides of the coin. The lawyer will look at it this way and that way. Then the court, the honorable court, will now rule. It is until the judge or the court rules that this accused person is guilty or innocent that you declare that person as corrupt and fraudulent or guilty of as charged. But in the absence of that, I want to state that it is going to be very difficult for a lawyer, for instance, you know, looking at a case that's, you know, that is before him, and looking at the evidence that the clients have brought. At that point, it might be difficult to rule or conclude that, oh, this person is guilty or not. Because, of course, by the time you judge that person before the honorable court, takes decision on the matter, you've gone against the tenets or the two pillars of fair hearing, which says order or trend pattern, which means that you must hear the other side. Then the other one says, Nemo Judas in Kasaswa. You must not be a judge in your own case. So, looking at the provisions of the law, if you now want to become an empire, then you too will be going against the constitutional provisions.
So, as what you've said, I can take from it what is already well known, which is that every accused is presumed innocent.
Yes.
Until evidence to the contrary is provided.
That's right.
Whereupon the statement shall then be made by a court of competent authority and jurisdiction that indeed this person is so convicted, and that's when he becomes
guilty.
Based
on the evidence.
Well, based on the evidence.
Based on the evidence. Based on the
evaluation
of the evidence.
Based on the evidence. But yes. This is interesting, and I can't really get into it with you, not being a lawyer myself, but what we do is we learn when we have these professionals and they tell us what's going on in their profession. But as a Nigerian, speaking as a person now, just talking about Kennedy, what do you think? Do you think there is a need? First of all, do you think there is massive corruption in the land? One. Two, do you think there is a need to tackle such corruption?
Yes, absolutely.
The first part, is that yes to the first part, that there is massive corruption in the land?
There is. In fact, corruption has eaten the fabrics. Is very deep in this country. Though corruption might not be totally wiped off, but it must be reduced to the barest minimum.
Do you think the
because
law,
corruption is crime?
Do you think the law has any part to do in what you just said, that is reducing considerably, if it can't even remove entirely?
Entirely.
Do you think the law has a part to play in this effort?
A lot.
A lot.
A lot. The law has, the machinery of the law has a lot to play. The government has a lot to play. The agencies have a lot to play. And the common man has a lot to play. That is the citizenry.
Yeah.
Has a lot to play. Because it is a system where all hands must be on deck.
Yes.
Because the corrupt men or women that is in the society, they also live among the ones that are uncorrupt, in quote. So you also have, a role or a duty, to play. But I've been looking at corruption and the president's fight of corruption. I must say that it is a right step in the right direction. But like I've said in different forums, and I think the president also has said that number one is going to, establish an anti-graft court. I also have advocated...
That's a proposal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also have advocated for also a constitutional court. Right. First of all, the agencies that has to arrest, investigate before it comes to court. There are a lot that needs to be done.
Okay.
For instance, the president's drive to fight corruption. You should be able to ask the agencies that are involved. For instance, the EFCC. Like I've said.
Or any other investigative agency.
Yes. That's why I say, for instance, for example, EFCC, the police is there, and all that. Like I have said, EFCC and like the police, they are very good. in arrest
Okay.
of, the big time
Suspects.
But the question for determination is, how far have they gone with the investigation and prosecution of the suspects?
Do you as a professional, as a lawyer, do you know such abilities to be very, very weak? I'm talking here, since you're talking about the law works, evidence is a central part of the law, especially in criminal, accusations like this,
yes.
Jurisprudence. Do you think that we are weak in that area of forensic abilities? For instance, I hear forensic auditing, forensic accounting, so that you can, because I've heard that one of the biggest problems we're going to have is, one, determining where the monies are, and then two, bringing them back, so you're going to need all sorts of expertise to really make a headway in this law, bearing in mind that the lawyers are all around the wings. No matter what their head tells them, their legal cap knows that, look, it's not personal, it's business. And even if I know this guy to be a rogue, if you can't provide the evidence, he's going to walk.
Yes, sir. That's why I've said, you see, looking at the whole gamut of fighting corruption, the agency that is constitutionally responsible for the arrest and investigation plays a very vital role in the drive to eradicate corruption.
Okay.
In the sense that, like the forensic audit and all this you've mentioned, they are also enshrined in investigation.
Yes.
And of course, for conviction to take place, it is based on investigation. And also, for you to locate where, for instance, somebody that has looted public treasury, first of all, you must investigate all the documentations, all the forgeries. It is that will give you the leeway to know where the funds are domiciled or transferred to. But in a situation where you investigate and their investigation is not thorough,
yes,
and you have created a leeway for that a lawyer will see,
it will be stupid not to take advantage of it.
Yes.
Never mind what the facts might be.
Because the lawyer himself does not really know.
Yes.
Because this is an allegation. And it has to be proved. In fact, the law says beyond reasonable doubt. In the absence of proofs or evidence beyond reasonable doubt, the man must walk home.
So, and what you've just said, it sort of underlines a principle of how lawyers go about their work. The onus of proof is on the accuser.
It's on the prosecution.
Yeah, well, on the prosecution.
Because
because the state is charging, the accusing.
The weight of evidence that the prosecution is bringing before the court, it goes a long way. And the quality of what it brings to the court.
That is what I'm saying. Because sometimes you read about judges throwing out stuff.
That is
as saying,
for instance, Gani Kayode's case, the former aviation minister, the Federal High Court threw off that case. So there are other cases like that. So it depends on the volume and the quantum of evidence, how overwhelming evidence you have. It is not enough to arrest a suspect and then make the whole noise.
Okay, so
all over the newspapers, all over the televisions, and at the end of the day, by the time it gets to court, you don't have anything to nail him.
What I'm sort of getting from what you're saying is that, by and large, lawyers are patriots as well. You just said to me that individually, personally there is massive corruption in the land, but you're also a lawyer. So it seems to me that what you're saying is that, look, the prosecution has to get its act together and put on the table absolutely infallible evidence such that any defense is going to be sweating to overturn it.
That's right.
That's
That
where
is right,
it is.
Because the lawyer did not arrest, remember. The lawyer did not investigate, remember.
Yes, yes.
The lawyer was just simply called to come.
But the point I'm making,
during arraignment.
I hear you, I understand you, and the point I'm suggesting to you is that perhaps lawyers in Nigeria, with these kind of cases in the past, have really had a field day knowing that working under this doctrine of onus of proof is where it is. I'm going to sit down here and see how you're going to prove that which you have stated all over the place. And if he's smart enough, if he's big enough, if he can intimidate the court, the system enough, because we hear that there are fees in excess of 100 million naira in some cases. Now, so if a lawyer can charge over 100 million naira by way of fees, he's no rookie lawyer. He's seen a few barbecues, so to speak. So if all of that works and intimidates the system, he just might work, unless the evidence is absolutely infallible. Would you therefore say...
What do you mean by intimidating the system?
Well, you know all these privileges of very, very senior lawyers. There are, if you're an SAN, there are certain privileges. There's certain respect. That's what I meant.
Well,
sort of
but
psychologically.
that does not go into the root
or
the merit of the case.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, but...
That's what I want to...
There seems to be some corollary that when a person is in deep trouble, if he can afford it, he reaches for an SAN. And you know that's the way it is. That's what I'm saying.
That's right.
Yeah. So, would you say that lawyers have had a relatively easy time of these kind of cases, that is, defense lawyers, simply because of the incapabilities in the forensic departments, so that they can't say that this particular wiretap shows that this amount of money went into this bank with this man's name, and those things are very, very hard to come by. I've not heard of them. In fact, what we usually hear of is a foreign-based forensic expert has been invited into the case. We don't seem to have them homegrown. It makes the life of defense lawyers very easy here, don't you think?
Well, like I said, it all depends on the volume and the expertise of the investigator. Because it is at the cross of investigation goes a long way. For instance, in a case of fraud, before a fraud will successfully fly, a bank will be involved, officials of the bank will be involved, and there are documentations also that will be involved. And you, the investigator, investigating such a case, there must be need for you to get a court order, to get to the bank, get the account details of the bank, get the study the accounts, know how when money moved, and where did that money go to.
So we're talking about a high level of expertise is required, in investigating these matters.
That's right.
It would seem that what you're saying, because I'm going back to, look, lawyers might just be in for Christmas season, an early Christmas season. That nobody can blame that. That's how they were trained. That's their job. But you seem to be saying, if we really want to take a serious stab at this corruption monster, then it's our investigative capabilities that we need to really strengthen.
Yes,
that's where we need to really work.
That is it. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
So,
for instance,
so perhaps lawyers are, secondary to the issue.
Because that's why I told you that a lawyer would only be privy to that case. Is either the man has been arrested and maybe the family or relations start looking for a lawyer. Then when you get maybe to EFCC or to the police will say, lawyer, please wait. We are investigating this matter. After our investigation, we will let you know or we meet you in court. So whether the man committed the offense is one thing. Whether he did not commit that offense is another thing. But when the matter is in court, where the lawyer is trained,
will be facing the prosecution
to do his work.
The state will be saying
he will
this
not look,
is the case.
He will not look at the work
Yes.
that the prosecution have done. What do you have?
And he'll be trying to rebut that as much as he can.
As much as possible,
So
according to law.
According to law. So it is the work of the prosecution to come with stuff, evidence that cannot be easily rebutted.
That
cannot be rebutted.
Yes.
That's where the whole crux of this fight against corruption is going to be.
Because, for instance, I don't know what some cases, for instance, there are past governors that has been charged to court, or some has not been charged. They are still under investigation for many years.
Because they're trying to get it right so it doesn't get thrown out.
So, till now, we don't know the position. And like I said sometime, I said the president, for instance, those high-brow cases that the EFCC or the police are handling, that has been on for years, and most of them, we don't even hear of them now. Most of those governors, some of them they've been re-elected, they're in the government house, various government houses, and their cases are still there.
Yeah.
So what is the position? It is still that either the evidence against them is not overwhelming to secure a conviction against them.
How would you explain the former Governor Ibori case that was let off here in our court system here, but did not escape in the British court system?
Because it still boils down on the evidence that is before the court and the quantum of the investigation that was done and what was before the court.
And so what you're saying by implication is that perhaps the courts in Nigeria didn't have enough to convict him on.
That is it.
And the courts in the UK,
they have
clearly
everything. The forensic there. What is it?
So
the investigation in UK.
One of the problems there with this line of discussion is that if we had depended on the Nigerian system, legal system alone, justice would not have been served. Thank God the UK legal system, justice system came into one way or the other, came into the case, and it looks like, with evidence, justice has been served.
Sir, when you talk of legal system and criminal justice system, you must draw a line, and the line, like I am telling you, the court cannot go outside what is before it.
I see.
The court cannot expunge or bring an evidence outside the pleadings that is before the court.
I hear.
So once the evidence are not overwhelming to convict that suspect is as innocent as anything, despite the fact he's not innocent and he has committed an offense.
I hear that. And this is where sometimes
so all what the president
non-learned people talk about the law being an ass.
Yes.
Because of the way it works.
That is it.
George has called in from Ikeja, wants to join this conversation. Good morning, George.
Good morning, Uncle Yuri.
Good morning, sir.
Well, I agree with the argument of your guest that there is need for a thorough investigation so that we don't go to court and then some smart lawyers come and floor the prosecution. This is why I am concerned with some people. In the past week or so, I've been seeing some speakers come to your station to condemn the slow pace at which investigation is going on, and that they want to see former presidents handcuffed and all that. we will not achieve anything if you approach it in that way. There's no way we can know the method of investigation that is going on now. The president has said that in a matter of weeks, prosecution will start. But some people wouldn't just wait. I feel taken about when I see some people come say, it's not doing anything, we want to see people prosecuted. What if you bring them and you don't have sufficient evidence to prosecute the cases? So there's need for patience so that a thorough job should be done.
Indeed, indeed.
Secondly, Uncle Yori, sorry to take your time.
No problem.
You talked about a panel just set up to investigate arms
yes.
procurement.
Yes.
It is very important because many statements that the former chief of defense staff and other services have been making, it's an opportunity to call them to come and explain what they have done with our budget. And a timeline for these probes should be set. I noticed that we don't have timeline. If you set up a probe, you should say within so number of weeks or months, I want a report. Thank you, sir.
Indeed, thank you very much for calling in. Appreciate your call, George. And as he reminded, you know, I was saying at the top that it's not always all about money alone. Sometimes corruption can have some maybe distant cousins, unfairness. So the panel that George was referring to that the president has just approved, that's been set up by the NSA, was to look into those court-martials and some of those 2,000 odd soldiers that have the process has begun to recall them. So it's, and even there we had lawyers. You know, there are military lawyers, right? There are even the people like you, civilian lawyers that defend particular cases. So there's general move. You did admit that, yep, I'm a Nigerian, I'm a patriot. I recognize there's a corruption, yes, a lot of it on the ground, but there also is the law. And the president, the only way the president is going to work is through the law. He doesn't have any other options, quite frankly. Yes. Rule of law. And that is what he was sort of suggesting, that, look, the rule of law can be helped. It can also be impeded, depending. Might not be so directly done. And so I guess what he was saying, look, could we all sort of get on the same page? There's so many different aspects to this whole fight. You are saying that there are some people that cannot get on that same page because of their professional obligations.
Yes, sir, it is very, very difficult for a lawyer or a judge to rule against
evidence before it.
Something that there is no evidence. In fact, if you test it upstairs, it will fail, and that judge will be ridiculed.
Yes.
The lawyers that prosecuted the matter or that appeared in the matter, they too will be ridiculed because it will be tested upstairs either at the Court of Appeal or even up to the Supreme Court.
So what this is bringing to the fore, Yakub, I'll be right with you. Yakub from Dokwemo, I'll be right. 1 second, please. What this is really bringing to the fore is that this whole fight of fighting corruption, it's not just the presidency alone. There's so many arms that really must all be on the same page,
yes,
work with a united purpose to achieve the aim. Yakub, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chief Yori. Yeah, I don't have doubt in my mind that this current president is going to succeed. He's going to succeed because we Nigerians that voted for change, we are rightly behind him, and then we have supported him. Why am I saying this? You know, he's already set up a panel before this one, that headed by Professor Ethan Isagi. If you look at that committee, that panel, entirely, you find out that they had 5 professors. Out of those 5 professors, there's 2 or 3 of them criminologists or something.
Criminologists.
She understand. So they are going to tell Mr. President, how is he going to go about it? This time around, it's not going to be business as usual.
And there is Professor Oshibajo there too?
Yes. You see, that Professor Oshibajo, I'm very, very happy the man become Vice President. He was the one behind all this thing that we are seeing now because he know how he restructured the Lagos law entirely. So you understand? Now, this time around, people are so in haste. They want to see somebody sent to jail, even including me. If possibly I see somebody sent to jail tomorrow, I will be very, very happy. That is going to send a very, very strong message to others that looted Nigerians money, Nigerian citizen money that you're supposed to do it by the expressway to start this way. And then Mr. President should go for further. All those people collected money for budget and then collected money from their project, doing nothing. Are you getting me, sir? Doing nothing. We want to see them sent to jail, not only prosecuting them, and then at the end of the day, they will be moving around in the state, and then we see them. If lawyers don't have evidence, they will never go to court. You get rightly said, a lawyer go to court, he wants to prosecute someone, and then you just have a concrete evidence to prosecute that person. Not that Fani Kayode is not guilty. It is guilty of that offense. But they don't have a lot of power to prosecute him. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much. You can't. Let me just say to you, my brother, from Dokwemu, Yakub, the court has discharged and acquitted him. So you cannot,
and the Constitution says you cannot try him again.
After the event, say he's guilty. But I understand what you're saying in relation to this. The thing, Kennedy, is that people want, because most people will agree that this country has been raped by those who are supposed to be running its affairs in the past. Yes. They want some action. They want some punishment. They want some recovery. And all of this is as should be. But there is the filter of due process, the law, and the keeping of fundamental human rights of everybody.
Sir, the due process, the due process is intended. The human rights of everybody, like you said, is intended. But the issue is this. If it's to train and retrain those investigators, be it EFCC, be it the police, be it another body he might want to use. Because I said it the other time, you see, when the president came on board, all of a sudden, EFCC started rearresting and arresting and became vibrant. And for some time, it was as if they were not even there. The other time, look at, there are a lot of cases that is still pending. Look at the Otumba Bengadanes case. It's still pending. The Alawa Kala is Chimaroke Namani. All their cases are still pending. Moritala Nyaku.
Because the investigations can't move forward?
Yes, let them bring up the evidence and let these people be convicted. It will serve as a deterrent to others. Even some of them that have still gone back, like the Ekiti man, is still in the government's house. His matter is in court. Where is the evidence? The EFCC should tell us. So let them tell us what they are doing.
Really,
and then let the president, if they need to be trained and retrained, for them to be effective and know what to do, because they work in collaboration with the American intelligence, the British intelligence, so they can, collaborate. So they have everything.
So that we can get to the facts of these matters.
And get the evidence and convict these people. And these facts, and recover the funds.
These facts have to be supported by evidence.
That is it.
Authenticated by evidence.
That is
it. So it would seem that, I understand there's someone else on the line. I think this thing died on me. Good morning. Please go ahead.
My problem is, number one, I have confidence in Buhari. When he came in, I felt so good. But the problem is, he can't do it alone. I've seen him as the only righteous man in this country. That's my opinion. Can he do it alone? I know that there are lots and lots of people who are very ignorant that are around him. How can he handle it? The assembly is there too. A lot of them have skeletons in their cupboard. Can they allow him to work? We don't not get to teach him if he tries to move in on them. Another thing, in Obasanjo's era, there were many cases that were not handled. The females, all those other ways of the corruption that were not handled. And he has now sent Obasanjo as an ambassador for something. Is that right? Will he be able to handle Obasanjo? within certain. I think there should be, I also suggest that the president should have state of emergency declared on corruption so that cases or courts
Okay.
should be set up as a state of emergency and handle this thing. Because without this, I believe they can't move forward.
Okay, thank you very much for calling in. Also, these things that we're talking about, how evidence is crucial, and the only way to get evidence is if you have the capabilities and the knowledge, the training, and all of these things you've said. They're going to have to massively, I think, augment the investigative capabilities on the ground.
That's right.
You just stated a number of long cases that have long been in the system that they can't come forward, and it must be because they don't have the stuff that they require yet.
Let them tell us what's the problem. They should, like now, the president. Everybody has confidence on the president to fight corruption.
But as that gentleman is saying, he's not going to be able. He's not going to be able to do it alone.
Yes,
there are so many different arms of this society.
Yes, because so many of those people too that are well placed, they are equally corrupt. The former defense minister, sometime when he retired, he said there was no arms, that he was not working with anything. But tell me, in every year budget, defense is always carrying the larger vote, if I'm not mistaken. What have they done with the money?
Well, that is what the probe has been set up.
So let them tell us.
Has been set up to
let
do.
Them tell Nigerians.
So they're going to have to be able to investigate that.
Awarded, who do they award the contract to?
These are the
How was the contract executed?
Yes, and it's made.
What of the certificate of completion?
Yes, we have someone else on the line. Good morning. Thank you for coming in. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
I need to from Oba. Please, first, Chief Yori, I want to confirm from you. Very important. Do President Buhari have concert in Ashurok watching this program? If he doesn't have, please, I want to employ your station to please present your concert to him. Let him be watching, because it's a station that will campaign for him, that we spoke in support of him, and a lot of things are coming out of this station. You need to be hearing us. You need to be hearing the view of Nigeria through this station. Please, that's one side. Secondly, good morning, sir, the lawyer.
Good morning, sir.
I've been hearing something. I want to confirm for you, you are a lawyer. Fine. Let's say there's evidence in court. Somebody is being found guilty. The law that is going to be used to judge them. I hear that if somebody file a suit of about 10 counts charge in a court, maybe even the person is found guilty of the 10 count charge, they will say 2 years per count. That would be like 20 years. Then concurrently, we serve 2 years and go to his house. I don't know whether it's true or not. But I think what President Buhari needs to do is to propose a bill. I don't know, maybe even the law system, they should propose a bill to the National Assembly to correct the system. There should be a stiffer punishment for corrupt officers. Let's have 20 years, 30 years, 40 years imprisonment. Not all this somebody go to court, be found guilty, 2 years, go back to his house. People will be corrupt with that kind of system. Please, I want to answer me. Is it really true that they will charge somebody 10 count charge, they will say the 20 years imprisonment, only 2 years we spend correct and go back to it? Is it really true?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's the way it works. He wanted you to sort of come in on that, but concurrent sentences are just that. It might be 2 years in 10 places.
Yes.
You know, if the judge says go do it concurrently.
That's it. But the issue is, in all the high-profile cases, which one? I want to see one of them. Let them go to prison, even if it's for 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month. Let them spend it in prison and come out and be reformed. We want to see that.
Well, but the judge went to prison.
Since he went to prison, where is he and what is he doing?
No, I just said when you said let one of them. I mean,
that is 1 out of billion. And since then, where is he?
Tell me.
Let's see one of the cases that is involving him of corruption again.
Okay, Kennedy, what do you think about? I just remember this. What do you think about this whole notion of, look, where should we sort of draw the line in looking back on these issues? In the case of the military spending one, That one goes back to 2007, which I think is the beginning of the Yar'Adua administration. So in short, the last administration. You've no doubt heard arguments that, no, they should take it back to independence. No, let them take it back to Tafawa Balewa. Oh, no, let them make sure that they include Obasanjo, whoever they... So what do you think? In this instance, I think I've been hearing things, if I'm not mistaken, that, look, in the first instance, we'll just stop at the last immediate administration before us. What do you think about all these time frames for these probes?
Sir, I want to make haste to state.
Let me just take Austin from Kano, and then I'll come right back to you. Good morning, Austin.
Hello, good morning, sir. To join you this morning, this is Austin calling from Kano. Well, let me quickly and briefly say that from my own observation, right from the beginning of democratic dispensation since 1999, it appears there was no clear-cut system that would dictate and immediately punish some governors who were caught in the act of corruption. Mm-hmm. Because it's funny that after 4 years, the governor stays in office, and EFCC just discovered the governor was corrupt. What was EFCC doing during the governor's tenure? What are the systems put in place to checkmate public officers such that they will not be able to carry out massive corruption over the years, only to be discovered maybe after they have finished serving their terms? So why can't the EFCC or the ICPC be so strong as to know daily activities of public officials? Now, if they are corrupt, the agency should be able to dictate and stop them in the track, not to allow them to amass billions of dollars, have the capacity to even fight the system, to fight EFCC in court. Because what has been going on is this governor steal billions of dollars. Now get learned lawyers, give them bribes, and even bribe the judges, speak big grammar in court, and then the case is just being adjourned constantly, and before you know it, cases are lasting for 10, 11 years. So it's funny. It's a mockery of the fight against corruption.
Okay,
so my summary, the summary of my submission is that these agencies that fight corruption must be strengthened to the point where they can dictate corruption early and stop it in the track. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Austin, calling in from Kano, underlining the point you made and that we've also made, that in the light of civilized procedures in a case like this, all of these things must be ticked off, due process, evidence, make sure that there's a defense guy and all of that. All of that must be done.
But I want to differ a bit.
But he was saying that the institutions, and that's the part in which he, he's parallel with you, they have to be strengthened so that they have the wherewithal to even maybe prevent crimes to some extent before the thing gets to 6 billion naira allegedly. Maybe where the thing is still at 100 million naira, something would have been seen, an alarm would have blown. That's the kind of thing that needs to be done if we're going to permanently affect, the health of, the robustness of corruption in this country.
Sir, I want to state that there is absolutely no judge that we have overwhelming evidence and decides to brush it aside and take money into his or her pocket.
That can't be done.
It cannot. And I stand to be corrected. And I have said it severally without any fear or favor. If any corrupt governor would escape the wheels of justice. It is from the investigation.
Okay. I hear what you're saying.
It is from the investigation.
Yeah.
And that is why by the time they do this, you cannot stop the prosecution from amending charges and charges and charges. And when they amend their charges and bring into court, it is what the lawyer or the judge see that he will.
Rahman wants to join this conversation. He's calling in from Belgium. Good morning, Rahman.
Good morning, sir. Yeah, I think the lawyer there is very right that we should investigate before we prosecute.
Yes.
We should investigate the matter. We should investigate all the looters, all the people that take our money in Nigeria, that we should investigate them before we can ask them to court. That's my contribution.
Rahman, yes, you're right. We should investigate them. But what if we can't investigate them properly?
Yeah, that is the work of the EFCC of Nigeria, that they cannot just carry anything to the court without investigation. They're supposed to do their proper investigation before they can carry all the necessary things to the court, so that it will be very easy for the court to prosecute them. If they have do their proper investigation, then it's very easy for the justice or the lawyer to prosecute them to
successfully
where they want to
go. Okay, Rahman.
I'm a litigation officer.
Okay, Rahman. Thank you very much for calling in. Indeed, I agree.
Lawyer.
So
there is no day. This morning before I came here,
yes.
I've gone to court.
So
there's no day I don't go to court.
So the point,
when I tell you anything I analyze, and I tell you particularly in this corruption, the president should take it seriously.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because
all of this is going right back to the fact that unless we are, you see, we have to be sure to not mess up the people's case, as it were, by shoddy investigation, by inadequate investigation, by incomplete investigation.
Can I fire them?
So,
Federal High Court threw off the case. He said he could not find anything to convict the man. Finally called this case. Federal High Court here. I was in court that day.
Which Fani Kayode, I think it is now Olu Kayode.
I don't know.
Which Chief Olu Kayode is interpreting as, I am innocent.
Yeah, yes.
My God has delivered me.
And by the judgment, he's innocent.
And the court has put a stamp on it that indeed you are innocent.
That is it. He has gone home.
Someone else on the line? Mr. Adegboyega calling from Okota. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, how are you? Yeah, really, I really want to pray for your efforts in this Nigeria. I believe that when Nigeria is okay, you will not be lost to eat from the trophy. I'm just praying for you. I just want to say something. You are asking a question for those who have been saying maybe the situation now that some people are being victimized and all that. No.
We're talking about successfully fighting this war, and we have arrived at the position where evidence is going to be key. Yes. Now the problem is we've not distinguished ourselves in the past producing the required evidence. That's what we're talking about.
Yes, you still going for the question which you asked a lawyer there, that what about the people who are saying that they are victimized and they are doing this, they are being sectional and all that. What I want to say about that is that if you remember Yoruba adage says that what do you expect the back to do? To fight back. These are the people that doesn't want Nigeria to move forward. Do you understand me? What President Buhari is doing is
and that's why we must nail them.
Okay. You understand me? Whether Panika or they or all of them, from the east, from the west, these are the people, these are the people putting stand.
Okay.
Buhari to focus on what he's doing, as he do it thoroughly. We are at his back.
Okay.
I just want to go by saying that if President is watching your program, by the time they want to choose their minister, you should be above them.
So that you can...
Okay, Mr. Adewega, thank you very much for calling in. I hear you. Thank you very much. Appreciate your call. So we've run out of time, but I think we've really underlined the part that evidence is going to play in the deluge, because the people want action. The people know they've been robbed.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately,
then you bring the robber.
The law requires that, look, you just don't say it emotionally. We also need proof. This is where ICPC, EFCC, CID, NSA, whoever, all the investigation of authorities, they have to be massively strengthened. Because as I was saying just there to Ramon in Belgium, we haven't really distinguished ourselves in the past in terms of coming up with evidence.
That is
especially the forensic part. I don't know that we even have a tradition of forensic investigation.
It's there.
Yeah, it's there, but maybe it's at its rudimentary stage. I'm just guessing. I hope it is there, but has been sleeping. And now is the time for it to wake up.
Somebody is an officer that will invoke it. It's an investigator that will invoke it. It's there.
So the
federal government has spent money. The forensic lab is there.
So the investigators have to know that their work is cut out.
If they don't know how to use it, the government should train them and retrain them.
So there you go. So the work is cut out for them, and the government has to keep an eye on these investigative arms, knowing that whatever case they think they have could easily be, thrown away by bad investigation.
Yes.
When you get to court, the courts cannot do anything but say sorry, inadequate, and throw it all out.
That is right.
And that is where. Since the people want answers, I guess the presidency and all the people that are working on this are going to have to look towards strengthening the investigative abilities of our law enforcement officials.
That is right.
That is where the crux really is. Then we can ask the lawyers to not compromise their professional...
No lawyer will compromise, because if you want to compromise and the evidence is there to puncture whatever you want to do, what will you do?
So it goes back to the quality of investigation.
That is it.
It must be spot on.
Of course.
It must be spot on.
Well, so that's the position.
Thank you very much, Kennedy.
And I want to quickly state.
Very, very quickly.
Let the president also, go back to 1999 when the democratic dispensation
that's
started.
your take on that?
Yes.
Okay. Rather than stopping in the last regime, you think that it should go back to 1999?
Yes.
Okay, you've registered your opinion. Thank you very much, Barrister Kennedy Osunwa, legal practitioner and public affairs analyst.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming. Really enjoyed the conversation. I'm Yori Folani. God willing, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.